Testing. Hi, everybody. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Oh, honey, it's time for me to take these braids out. These curls are not curling like they should. So, welcome, testing everybody. Happy Thursday. This is Man Up Thursday with me and Judge Joe Brown. But guess what, honey? He ain't here tonight. No, he's not. But the show must go on because I have guests. I have two co-hosts tonight. They're going to come up a little bit later because I have guests that are coming back on in about 5 minutes. And we got to talk about the Fulton County crisis and corruption because the DOJ is investigating. Yes. And then we got to talk about, did the Onion Media buy InfoWars? InfoWars had to be put up for sale or auctioned off by the federal government. And it's saying that the Onion, which is like this satire media company, bought it. So we got to talk about that. We got to talk about this FEMA crisis because the state of Florida, honey, is suing FEMA. Yes, you can sue the federal government for discrimination. And it's other things we're going to talk about in between. The white feminists shaving their heads, Denzel Washington. We got to talk about Ohio new trans law. Kudos. Yes, I agree with it. And we see where the show goes, right? So, real quick, your hair still looks cute. Thank you, Deborah. Guys, please like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the bell button for all notifications because people are saying they're not getting their notifications and they already hit the bell button. I don't know what's going on with that. I have to reach out to YouTube. Yes. Oh, and I also want to talk about Donald Trump nominating Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to health secretary, I believe. So, and I was going to put that in the title. Maybe I do need to switch up the title because I don't know. I know Alex Jones, he been banned from YouTube. But I don't know if the algorithm's sensitive on YouTube if you put in the word InfoWars. I'm not sure. But this is not a InfoWars Alex Jones platform. However, it is trending like crazy, especially on X. But so is Robert F. Kennedy. So yeah, maybe I'll put Robert F. Kennedy health secretary in the title as well. But yeah, so Dana Trump is building a team of pipe hitters. Yeah, but I question Matt Gaetz, honey. Now, I know it was probably a strategic move to nominate Matt Gaetz because Matt Gaetz resigned. I think it was today, the day before the ethic board was supposed to release some documents or a case against him. And Trump nominated him for attorney general. But yes, he's a lawyer, but he hasn't practiced law. So I don't know, how that's going to go, but I understand the chess move there. And speaking of the federal government, I got a letter from Homeland Security. It says U.S. Department of Homeland Security. It's from the TSA office. And that was going to be my monologue. I do see the two guests, and I am going to bring them up in a sec. Just give me 2 minutes, guys. Dear Dana, my last name, on or about November 9th at the such and such airport, you presented yourself. Well, I could say the Cleveland International Airport. You presented yourself an accessible property for screening. During the screening process, the following items were discovered: a switchblade knife. Your possession of these items violates 49 Code of Federal Regulations of the Transportation Security Regulation. Items such as these are not allowed on board an aircraft or in the sterile area of the airport without authorization. Bringing prohibited items into security screening checkpoint even accidentally lengthens the security screening process, violates federal regulation, and may, in serious or repeat incidents, result in monetary penalties and or criminal prosecution. A list of permitted and prohibited items is available at whatever website. In view of the circumstances in this case, and in accordance to the 49 CFR 15 whatever, we have elected to send you this warning notice rather than seek a civil penalty. In addition to this warning notice, you would be temporary. I'm just reading this letter now. Oh my effing God. No, I'm disqualified. I'm temporarily disqualified for this TSA pre-check. Mind you, the little switchblade that I had in my purse, I had it in my purse for over a year. It's funny because I did get on a plane in May through the same airport and they didn't see it. So I never took it out of my purse because when I go hiking, I always left the switchblade in my purse because I used to carry it in my hiking pants, hiking just in case Jason want to hop out the woods. And then I put it in my purse. I'm like, I don't need it because I'm a hiker. I love nature. I forgot it was in my purse. And it said something about, it didn't say make America great, but I think it said something about F. Joe Biden because it was a company that had, it was a sponsor of mine. They sent me the product and that's the knife the switchblade that I picked out. Oh my God. Because you committed a violation of a TSA security regulation. This warning notice is a matter of record and part of the compliance history. A warning notice is not a formal adjunction or a legal finding of a matter. Therefore, there are no rights to appeal this notice. I repeat. Well, how long am I disqualified? The TSA pre-check disqualification process is separate from this regulatory manner and is handled by a different office. Individual with questions concerning pre-TSA check status should call to. Oh my God. Why would you disqualify me? It was an innocent mistake. I'm hot. I just read the letter right now on air. Oops. It wasn't my fault. Oh. Oof. 60 more days. It'll be 60 days. I'm traveling next month. Don't you know I hate taking my shoes off? And you know what? But I had applied for TSA, so I know I'm going to get denied. But I was scared, honey. When I saw that envelope, I'm like, Homeland Security, I ain't do nothing. I said that to say, honey, I don't break the law. I would never break the law. I don't want the federal government. I don't want no RICO. I don't want the state. I don't want nothing with government coming after me. I'm already dealing with the IRS, and that's fine because I claim my taxes. I owe, but at least I claim. But I don't want to deal with the federal government. I can't deal with the feds because you never will win. That's all I got to say. All right, let's get into the show. I'm so extra. Hi, guys.
Dana, please stay out of trouble.
All right. My glasses steaming. I did not know. Oh, just mute up for a second. I did not know that I was banned now from TSA, but whatever. It is what it is. All right. So hi, Rambo. Hi, Ellie Pink.
Hello, Dana. Stay out of trouble.
All right. So we did a show. I uploaded a show that we did Monday or Tuesday, and we was talking about the murder for hire at Fulton County Jail, and the FBI is investigating that case, right? But something else came out. I believe it was yesterday. We have an update. So Rambo, I'm gonna give you the microphone, and please give us the update, because now the Department of Justice is investigating Fulton County jail system altogether.
Yes, ma'am. As of today, the United States Department of Justice released its long-awaited findings about the Fulton County Jail that stemmed just before LaShawn Thompson's, right after LaShawn Thompson's death. And then it went into digging deeper into a myriad of issues that are specific to this administration. I have to say that is because many times when I was on the debate trail against the incumbent, and even today, he liked to try to point out that a lot of these issues are decades old. No, only the jail infrastructure is decades old. The issues that are contained in this report are specific towards his administration. You find nothing referencing in terms of the deaths, the health care, the mental health issues, the waywardness of the staff, what have you. None of those date back. In fact, it even mentions, because if you remember, I always preferenced between 2009 and 2016 is when we had one of the best running county jails as a result of our CompStat efforts that brought us out of a consent decree. And it made mention that there were only 2 or 3 incidents in 2015, 16. So at the end of the day, as I asked him one time when he made that statement at a church debate that we had, I said, if you can come back and show us that in full report, I'll go ahead and I'll step out of this race. I'll go ahead and drop out right now. And he's never been able to do that. So I'm not here to slap him across the head tonight, but for the debate that he intentionally avoided, we're going to go ahead and address a lot of these issues tonight in this Department of Justice report that basically has said that this is a dangerous facility that people really can only come out as through a body bag.
LA Pink, did you wanna say anything? You can unmute. You gotta unmute. There you
go. No, I'm just right now. Rambo has so much information. It's just that everything that is coming out is what we've already been talking about, what we've already been discussing, what we've already been saying, as far as Fulton County Jail. As we all know, there's no accountability, still to this day. Everything is everybody else's fault but his. So as he began to unfold a lot of his findings of things that Rambo's been on a mission reading through a lot of the documentation so that he can give us a lot of stuff that's being said on the within this report.
I want to share this clip because this was the press conference that took place today, actually, I believe. Yeah, this was 8 hours ago. This was earlier today. One sec here.
For the Civil Rights Division at the U.S. Department of Justice. Joining me is Ryan Buchanan, U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Georgia. The Justice Department has completed a comprehensive investigation into conditions at the Fulton County Jail here in Fulton County, Georgia. Our investigation finds longstanding unconstitutional, unlawful, and dangerous conditions that jeopardize the lives and well-being of the people held there. We cannot turn a blind eye to the inhumane, violent, and hazardous conditions that people are subjected to inside the Fulton County Jail. Detention in the Fulton County Jail has amounted to a death sentence for dozens of people who have been murdered or who died as a result of the atrocious conditions inside the facility. It's not just adults, but also young people who are subjected to conditions and treatment that violate the Constitution and defy federal law. Many people held in jails in our country have not been convicted. They are awaiting hearings, trial dates, or are serving short sentences for misdemeanors. We find that the Fulton County Jail does not adequately protect incarcerated people from violence, such as stabbing, sexual abuse, or even murder. Physical deficiencies in the environment, such as unlocked doors and large holes in the walls, permit and even facilitate the brutality. Incarcerated people use makeshift weapons built out of jail fixtures to attack others, including vulnerable people with mental health needs and 17-year-old young people. In 2023 alone, we identified 314 stabbings and more than 1,000 assaults. This rate of violence exceeds what we've seen in other cities across the country. The Fulton County Jail had as many stabbings in a single month as the Miami-Dade County Jail had all year. And that's a facility with 1.5 times more people. Since 2022, 6 people in the jail have lost their lives to violence. I'll walk through additional core findings set forth in the report that we're issuing today. Living conditions at the jail are hazardous and unsanitary. Housing units are flooded from broken toilets. Roaches, rodents, and pests abound. Standing water, exposed wiring, and vermin make living areas unsafe. The jail does not provide enough food, leaving people severely malnourished. The jail fails to provide constitutionally adequate medical and mental health care to people at the jail, exposing people to preventable bad outcomes, including injury, seriousness, illness, pain and suffering, mental health decline, and even death. The lack of security staff and failure to prioritize health services impede access to care. Medical emergency.
Okay, so Rambo, jump in and listen. You talk about the Department of Justice. That's the federal government, correct?
That's correct.
And so, wait 1 second. So now, is this by the orders of the Biden administration? Is this something that the Trump administration is going to have to deal with?
Well, it looks like this is going to flow over into the Trump administration, especially if it turns from to issuing key compliance, key compliances that they're asking for, and it's voluminous. I told you we only had 15. They have a long laundry list of things that must be at least shown some effort to get a handle on in the next 45, 49 days. If it does not turn into that, then what will happen is they will now go to the federal judge and sue the sheriff's office as well as Fulton County government, and we'll go back into another federal consent decree. Now, I'm going to say it, and it's real. Anytime that your agency goes into a federal consent decree is a total sign of incompetence from the top to the bottom. The fact that you have Eighth Amendment conditions this severe, this nasty, this filthy. This isn't Charles Rambo saying it. This isn't L.A. Pink hollering it across the mic at the Fulton County Commission meeting. This is the Department of Justice that have presented these findings, and I don't hear anybody coming in trying to refute what we've been trying to say. But most important, I'll say this and I'll get back on track. This issue should have galvanized and caught the attention all across America back in the May campaign as well as in the general election campaign. It went upon deaf ears. No black clergy, no black civil rights organizations, no black men organizations, nobody coming forward to speak up for these particular young men. 87.4% of our youth inside of that jail. Yes, have they been charged with crimes? Yes, they have. Have they been found guilty? All persons are innocent until proven guilty. And that is what is more parenthetical to what I'm getting ready to say is, I stated all of these things before the Department of Justice came in on the Laura Coates show on CNN when LaShawn Thompson had died. Everything that this young lady just said at that podium were things that I said in that CNN interview back when now President-elect Trump was being booked over into the jail. Just unfortunately, a couple of weeks later, you had a severe stabbing there where someone had passed away. So this is unconscionable. This is an affront to Black leadership, particular in the civil rights cradle of the world and the United States, that we've got such inhumane conditions. And then she didn't say, was and has, she says are, and other adjectives that says that these things are still going on as we speak.
Well, listen, that's serious when the federal government has to step in. Someone has to answer to this. Is it the sheriff? Is it Fannie Willis, district attorney?
Well, it's on both sides, because again, at that time, I was heavily criticized by a couple of folks because I spoke directly to the issue, and Miss Laura Coates agreed with me 100%. This is a top legal analyst who otherwise would chew you up pretty much like the judge if you don't know what you're talking about. At the end of the day, it's a balance that has to happen. And I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. The district attorney, the solicitor, the judges have got to start getting up on and getting these cases moving through the system. There's no other criminal justice system that you're seeing that has backlogs like you're seeing today. But at the same time, you've got to have a sheriff that knows how to hold the judicial as well as the legislative accountable for the resources that he accountably needs in order to maintain that jail. So with that, at the end of the day, I said it at that time. I said specifically that ACLU had stated that we had 87.4% Black males in the jail, and at the same time, over 1,500 cases that had not gone up for an indictment. With that, without that indictment, now we've got people that otherwise are languishing around the jail, and it is not the overcrowding that creates the inhumanity. It's the conditions that are created when that particular inhumanity occurs, and the sheriff is not doing his job with penological objectives of internal order and discipline. That's what is sorely what is described inside of this report. And Charles Rambo is not making this up. I've read all 105 pages and can identify with it 100% because these were issues that I wanted to address with the Constitutional Sheriff Initiative.
Well, you did run for sheriff of Fulton County. You were a write-in. And as of last week, there was no winner. They did not declare a winner. Can you give us an update on your election run of sheriff?
Thank you. And since there has not been a declared winner, and I will stand corrected in the same forum that I make my statement, it still has not been declared. The official poll has not, and the official results for this race between a write-in candidate as well as a partisan candidate have not been fully disclosed. So long as the race is quote unquote still technically, the election is over, but the issues are still compounding as we speak. I went to the Fulton County Board of Elections and Registration, and I filed an official complaint. I was even brought back up to restate my case and made a couple of issues that I think may have stuck in their head. Of course, they have up until November 17th to certify my results. But hell, if I only got 15 votes, that's easy votes to count and say it's over with. We don't have that count. And if anybody can research that and show me that he has won outright and the race has been declared, go ahead and correct me right now in this forum so that I don't walk away oblivious. But in the meantime, I'm going to continue to talk about these issues because regardless of how many times you say you got reelected, we keep seeing a reoccurrence of issues that should have been addressed when you first got sworn in 2020.
How much of the responsibility falls on Fannie Willis?
Some of the responsibility falls upon the district attorney's office based upon how fast they can move these cases. As you remember, I stated, and we talked amongst the judge, and we talked about that, a lot of the cases that are inside the Fulton County Jail right now as we speak are bad cases. Take, for example, in the past week alone, 2 weeks, they've released people who had serious charges when they found out that they didn't have any connection to the crime. Most important, from my opponent's alma mater, Clark Atlanta University, a young man who was verified as being in class, a PhD student, lost 30 days of his life there inside of the Fulton County Jail for a crime that he did not commit. So again, yes, the judiciary and the prosecutors have got to get a handle on dismissing some of these BS cases that sit there. I'm not telling you something I heard. I'm telling you something that I've experienced in working around these inmates and making them stick their noses into the law library, into getting the request forms that they need in order to help them fight their cases. But the most important is that this squarely falls upon the sheriff, because he is constitutionally bound with internal order and discipline. That is his job under 1516-10 in the care and custody of all persons who have been remanded into his care that comes in through those back doors. Less of this has to do with the county commission. The only thing that they're responsible for is fixing the infrastructure and providing funding. Outside of that, 75% of this squarely rests and rules and rests upon the elected sheriff. And again, I'll stand corrected by anyone that wants to make that, to put me back in perspective.
Well, I don't know who this person, Rob Pitts, Fulton County chairman, what is he responsible for? And also, at one point, I think it was a couple years ago, Patrick Labatt, we always say Labatt, and Fannie Willis, they were saying that they've been asking from funds from the county or the state, and they're, it's been unanswered. So it seemed like everybody's trying to cover their ass instead of doing their job and taking responsibility.
And to that point is that we're still dealing with lives there at the jail, whether they're convicted or whether they are awaiting trial. We're still dealing with humanity. That Nelson Mandela said it best. You can best judge a nation by the condition of its jails, of how it treats the least of its citizens, which are inmates. How would Nelson Mandela know that? Because he was a former inmate for many years. So the standard that we can judge our county by right now is how we are dealing squarely with the inmates that are there inside of 901 Rice Street. If you give them a standard of decency and humanity, I guarantee you will change lives around. And L.A. Pink has been out there on the streets with me, and she can attest to many guys, some of the hardest guys, homeless guys. Everyone will recall the type of internal order, discipline, and humanity that we showed to inmates to want to make them to go back out and not to come back to damn right 901 Rice Street. Now, I'll say for Rob Pitts, Mr. Pitts is the chairman of the board. By their own indication, they have a pretty congenial relationship. He jumps into his ass every now and then, what have you. But at the end of the day, a lot of things, I believe, in this next meeting when they come up for talking about overtime. That's another thing that they talk about in this. The sheriff, to address staffing, had gotten, and I'm going to give him a round of applause, and I mean that not being sarcastically. He got detention officers almost up to $55,000 in raises. Well, if you have $55,000 raises, why are you paying people double time? Why are you paying people double time on top of a salary that outpaces the market? Then you got the deputies up to $65,000 raises. So now you're going to come and see how the overtime has been evaporated. And this was something that we never heard of in terms of an overrun of overtime monies where deputies did not get paid.
Go ahead, LAP.
No, I was just going to say, I think some of the things that's happening with the sheriff department. I've dealt with the sheriff department through Juneteenth, through Sweet Art Music Festival, Mr. Jackson, and a lot of stuff that's happening is unheard of things that's happening. You know, I've never seen a sheriff take vacations at Martha Venue. Just the luxury of things that he has done for this jail to be sinking underwater, you know, and all of the issues and the problems that they're having, you know, $225,000 Sprinter vans and, you know, electric vehicles and Mustangs. And I mean, he has some vehicles out of this world that he has paid for, but the jail is on the news every single day going up under. And that's the problem that I'm having with the Board of Commissioners. They're talking about it, but they're not doing anything about it, you know. And now I just watched a video before I came on here with him and Rob Pitts. Did you know that they had an interview? They had a thing today. And Rob Pitts was saying that, hey, I don't think Rob Pitts took out the time to read, really truly go through all 100 and something pages of this, of the discovery of what they have discovered, because I'm still stuck on nobody needs to give him anything. I mean, so, however.
Well,
that Dana, why it's hot. The one thing that's most damning is some of the things we talked about just the other day on this podcast in terms of the internal order and discipline that the DOJ pointed out. And it's almost like they might have heard our conversation. And it talks about that they failed to protect inmates from violence, death, as well as tracking the pattern and practices of those other malign influences in the jail. We had a system that I put in place called correctional intelligence. I also put in place training for investigating jail-related deaths, as well as any type of assaults, as well as the tracking of gang members. So these were all components. This is what reason why I said in my campaign, coming in and solving the problems over there will be very easy, because at the end of the day, I'm sorry I didn't bring my book. Whenever I held that book up, and I'm gonna go get it while LA chimes in. Whenever I held that book up, it made everybody tremble, because it had every design of programs that I had introduced under the consent decree that helped to bring things under order. So at this juncture in time, it has to be as the Department of Justice has said. Come on, County Attorney, and even Pat's attorney, if you want to challenge. The Department of Justice just said that it was deliberate indifference, which means is that there was an intentional or a willful negligence to deviate from training, policy, and supervisory protocols that created these particular conditions.
Is somebody going to get arrested?
I can't say that typically. When I say I can't say that, consent decrees typically are civil in nature. If there's any violations along the way, a federal monitor or federal receiver, which is where this thing possibly could go, could make recommendations if anyone interferes. But those particular type of other separate criminal issues would be based upon whatever criminal elements. Right now, they have just pointed out the conditions.
Well, you want to say something, LA? Because
Yeah.
I'm going to start. Okay.
I said it should be, because they brought up LaShawn Thompson. And as we know, his Sheriff LaButte's wife sent out text messages to an individual stating that they knew about the bed bugs, which Sheriff LaButte went online openly and said that they did not know. So he told the news and he told the investigators that he had no clue about the bed bugs, that he was not notified. But the wife clearly says on her text message that she knew that they all knew about it. They just didn't think that it was that bad. And so there should be something being done. The fact that that message was sent out to anybody identifying with that baby's body, and that they knew about this particular situation, and they lied, openly, and said that they didn't. So there should be an arrest, and my problem, and I want to call out Mark Winning. He is Channel 2 news anchor down here, because he just was off in this jail. And how you do all these drug busts, you do all this raiding, you do all this other stuff, but you not one time put out the report of what they just reported. You never one time. Other news channels have and have said something, but why hasn't he, being that he's the first person Sheriff LaButte calls for any breaking news? He just acts like as if everything has to be in a way to show LaButte's good side, instead of showing that, hey, he needs to get this stuff together. You know what I'm saying? Like, save the lives of the people that's in jail and stop trying to save the life of this criminal.
Well, listen, guys, this is ongoing. And of course, I am going to have you guys come back on, to keep us updated on what is going on in Fulton County. We have been talking about Fulton County since the beginning of this year, and it started off with Fannie Willis, but then you open up these can of worms and everything is starting to come out, and particularly with the Fulton County jail system. So what is the book that you wanted to hold up and let people know where they could follow you and contact you guys?
Well, thank you, Dana. This was, every time I went into a particular debate, I held up this particular book, which was my manifesto, not only of past accomplishments under consent decree, but a fast forward track forward in terms of how we could get the job done. I just want to show you this real quick. Came back again with that particular presentation that was presented before courts, as well as the former sheriff of our CompStat initiative that got the job done in less than 6 months. We really started the way towards progressive improvements in less than 6 months, as it was identified inside of consent decree reviews. I had a program that I put in place in terms of gang awareness, which also dealt squarely with the issues there inside of the jail, as you're seeing it right now under this administration. You look and you find that it also talks about a failure to put the staff into place in terms of what their role and responsibility is in dealing with use of force. Progressive discipline. I was recognized by the African American and Human Resources for putting this particular documentation into place for progressive discipline, performance management, using performance key indicators, you name it. So when I read, I was able to write rapidly through it because these were things that we had overcome. Right now, it's just a shame that this is the indication in the civil rights capital of the world that we have these worst conditions and we have Black leadership in place that's not getting the job done. I said it, and matter of fact, to be honest with you, the DOJ said it as well.
Thank you, guys. Like I said, thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time out, and we will keep talking about Fulton County, Fannie, Sheriff LaButte, and everybody else that are not doing their job and who I would say is corrupt. So thank you guys, and we'll talk soon.
Hey, Dana, please tell your followers that they can follow me. I've rebranded myself, as I told you I was going to do. You can follow me at Legal Edge 6, Legal Edge 6 on TikTok, Legal Edge 6 on my YouTube, what have you. I will be putting out more information as we move forward. But please follow me if you want comprehensive updates about what's going on, as well as paths of how to move forward. Thank you again for allowing us to come and talk with you tonight.
Yeah, listen, you guys are my go-to when I talk about Fulton County, and Fulton County deep dive just gets more corrupt. Exactly, and I like to do a deep dive in Fulton County, so I am going to have you come back on so we could talk further more about Fulton. So, and LA Pink, guys, you could go and support LA Pink at streetgroomers.org, correct? Go to streetgroomers.org and support grassroots organizations that are actually doing something for the community. So thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having us.
All right.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Kingdom blessings.
All right. So, it's never going to stop in Fulton County. It's never going to stop. Never, never, never. Which is why I do, I was introduced to Charles Rambo. He was running for sheriff. Listen, Sheriff LaButte, you guys, y'all keep voting for these people. I'm sorry. You vote for your judges, you vote for the DA, you vote for the sheriff, and you have all these corrupt problems going on. He was a write-in. You had options. So I am going to bring Charles Rambo and LA Pink back on because we are not done talking about Fulton County. And I like to bring people who live in that community, just like I bring P. Ray in. She's in Chicago. That's talking about what is going on the ground in these places. So it needs to be exposed. It needs to be put out there. They need to be investigated. And you need to stop voting these people back in office. Jeez. I changed the title, but I am still going to talk about the Onion Media buying InfoWars, but I did put Trump nominates RFK Jr. for health secretary, right? So we're going to get into that in a minute. And I see my co-host, Nora.
Hi, Dana.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Nora is part of the New Party. Guys, go to the New Party at the New Party on YouTube and subscribe. And I wanted you to bring Kelly. Hi, Kelly. Kelly was on election night watch party. Kelly couldn't hang for the whole, it was 8 hours. But I think you hung in there for like 2 or 3 or maybe 4, at least halfway through. So yeah, introduce yourself, Kelly, and introduce yourself after Kelly, Nora.
I did not know I was muted. Sorry. I was saying hi. I said, I 11:30. I had to tap out. That was long for me. But yeah, thanks for having me. I am on YouTube. I am at Let Me Break It Down podcast here on YouTube. And a same handle on TikTok. So if you guys want to follow me, but thanks for having me back. A longtime viewer and so excited to be here.
Well, this is the thing. So I said I wanted you guys to come on tonight because Thursdays I usually do the show with me and the judge, but he had some business to take care of tonight. So he, wasn't going to be able to do the show, but I still wanted to do a show, because you have to stay in the little algorithms or whatever. I still like to stay on schedule. So I was like, you know what? Let me bring in some co-hosts, so we could talk about different topics that are trending. So I was like, I always like when Nora come on, and I wanted to bring some new faces. So I was like, hey, invite Kelly. So a couple of things that we're going to talk about. Of course, the FEMA crisis. Florida is suing FEMA for discrimination. And Trump nominates Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for health secretary. And the Onion Media buys InfoWars because InfoWars was auctioned off via the federal government. And so now it was allegedly bought by the Onion, which is like some type of satire media. So we're going to get into that a little bit later. But I also wanted to bring up the white feminist movement. We were talking about that a little bit earlier, to where it's this movement of W4B movement of white women who are shaving their heads, right, in wake of Kamala Harris not being elected president. Let me share this. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so let me pull this up.
Honestly, might go get a tattoo.
If you don't know what the 4B movement is, Korean women had decided to stop having
babies until they received equal rights.
That is not a joke. That is not an exaggeration. They are not dating men. They are not marrying men. They are not having children with men. They're not even sleeping with men anymore. And it's called the 4B movement because the Korean words for those four things all start with the letter B.
Today, I want to get into the expansion of the 4B movement into the 5B movement, the 6B movement,
the Chinese iteration of the 6B, 4T, or 10BT movement, the 7B movement, the 8B movement, and the 8B, 4T movement.
And I think all women should stop having sex for the next 4 years.
I want the men in this country to know that half the female population, we're dry.
For the next 4 years, I am going to abstain from sex with men.
I've literally broken up with a man because he voted for Trump.
Yeah. And then you have the people shaving their head. I don't want to play the music. So I want us to talk about this for a minute. How do you guys feel about these women running around here shaving their heads in protest and giving up sex because Kamala Harris wasn't elected president?
Or the broken woke and they're sleeping with each other.
Okay, so that lady, I will say that lady right there that was putting on the lipstick, she actually, because I looked her up, she actually has alopecia, and she was really upset at the whole 4B movement because she's like, I can't help this. And I noticed, I saw on X, there was a woman that was like, hey, I have cancer. I'm not an idiot. I voted for Trump. It was a white lady. So I just think that imagine how privileged you are that you can get on your app, complain about that the free election that you were able to participate in and that you're able to protest. Like there are women, I mean, we know what happened with Masa Amini over in Iran, where she was murdered because, the whole hijab thing that was going on. So I think these women are extremely privileged. I think it is an insult to women all over the world that actually are oppressed. And I mean, look, your candidate lost, take your L, move on. I think I think it's a stunt. Yeah, I actually think it's pretty gross, to be honest.
I don't think it's a stunt. I think they're pretty serious. I think they're trying to leverage.
I mean, a stunt like dramatic.
Yeah.
I mean, dramatic.
Yeah, I think they're leveraging their white power, and they're trying to see if the world is going to care. But honestly, I mean, what rights? Like, you still have your rights. Number one, it's extreme. No one's going to take you seriously. And also, like, let's be real. They're either sleeping with each other, they're still sleeping with men. So it's like, why are you doing this? And lastly, the birth rates in our country are down because of abortion, and that's something that people are not talking about. So, I mean, y'all weren't having babies anyways because y'all were too busy aborting them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Jeez, Nora. Well, listen, Whoopi wanted to get in on it because apparently, I guess she's supposed to be joining the strike.
This. We all came. I dare. Yeah, you didn't get here by yourself, man. You can't do this without us. Yeah. And if we don't let you, you don't get any. It's that simple. It's that simple. This.
Okay, so what is Oprah? What is Whoopi talking about? Because this was the same woman that says, I'm part of the working class. I work. If I had all the money, because I don't have all the money in the world, which is why I have to get up and work. But she's worth over $45 million, and I think she gets $20 million annually from The View. So she's not part of the working class. And now she's talking about men, you don't get it unless we give it to you. So I guess she's aligning herself to that feminist movement protest over Kamala Harris. So what is it? This sounds like one big old grift.
It's definitely a grift because, like you said, Whoopi, you have $45 million. You're not like us, which is fine, which is absolutely fine. But don't sit up here and say you get us, because you don't. Because if you did, you'd understand the economy was crippling people. So that was crazy. And her speaking on the 4B thing, I have not, and I'm not trying to be funny, I haven't seen Whoopi with a man since the guy from Cheers. What was his name? Ted Danson. And I'm not trying to be funny, so I don't know. Okay, Whoopi. I like I said, I didn't even know she dates men still.
She went on somebody's show and she was like, she does date, and apparently she is still sexually active, but she doesn't do overnights. Like, okay, you go home. Like, she doesn't want a relationship and she definitely don't want to get married, but she has her moments, I guess, with men.
Okay. Okay. That's good.
But now that Kamala lost, she's joining the sex strike.
I don't believe her. I don't
Well,
believe her. It's always these women that have so much to say that you need to do this. Like Beyonce coming out. Beyonce, you're gonna go home to your husband. Kamala's gonna go home to Doug Emhoff. These people need to stop listening to these women. I think.
yeah, they ran the men out of the homes, and now they're trying not to be mothers, and they're trying not to be in the home. I mean, I don't know. I don't know who supports this. I don't know why this would be something you would support and why you'd be okay with this. And especially women of color, I think this is something that we should not be attaching ourselves to.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's too extreme. And it's like, listen, nobody wasn't doing this when Hillary Clinton, when she lost the election. So all of a sudden now, but Joy Reid, on the other hand, is blaming white women for not voting for Kamala Harris because 53% of white women voted for Trump. So yeah, I just think this whole woke thing, the woke media, the woke liberals, the woke left, like they're really losing their minds after
And they
this
don't
election.
get it. And they just really don't get it. That's the part for me. Like, how do you not understand? Like, okay, yeah, the abortion thing, that was important to a few women, even though the president cannot overrun the Supreme Court, but whatever. People like, okay, there's some people were saying, oh, I have to vote this way for my daughter. Well, some people are trying to feed their daughters. So that's the difference. I just think they're just completely out of touch.
Well, I want to kind of stick on pop culture a little bit, and before I get into if it was, because I did invite number 9 to come on to talk about Infowars being purchased by the Onion Media. You guys heard that, right? Is that true? Because somebody in the chat was like, that wasn't true, that the Onion Media did not buy them.
No, so okay, because I knew you were going to ask about this, so I did a little research and I was watching Infowars earlier, and so what happened was there was a lot of weird stuff with the bid. So the bid was like, at first it was an open bid, and then they had it sealed, and one of his friends, or Alex Jones's friends, Roger Stone, wanted to enter a bid, but evidently it came out that they thought the Onion had bid with the help of the Sandy Hook families, which was weird to me because the money was supposed to go to the Sandy Hook families. But then, like maybe 2 hours ago, Alex Jones tweeted and said that the Onion didn't buy the Onion did not buy Infowars. So I don't know like the status right now, but according to Alex Jones at Real Alex Jones, he said that they didn't buy it. And on the end, I caught the tail end of the stream. It wasn't Alex Jones, it was one of the other anchors was like excited. They were like, "Oh, this is a win for us." So, but I don't know, like what happened with it.
Nora, why are you always quiet?
Because I'm thinking that I think it was bought and they're just trying to save face right now, or they're trying to hope that it gets outbid. That's what I'm thinking, because earlier I was watching his stream and there were literally people there to take over. And they were getting hyped and mad. So I don't know what's the real thing. I think it's a ruse. I think the Onion people bought it because other news things are saying they bought it. So
But
I
then,
don't know. My mind is just going.
but then he said, remember on the stream, he said that they were violating the court order by being there, though. So I don't know. I hope they didn't buy it. Well, yeah, I don't know. It's weird stuff.
All
Yeah,
the
that's it.
mainstream media are saying that they bought it. CNN, the News Times, Onion. I mean, they're all
Well,
saying
we
they
can't
want. I
go by
think it's
them.
bought.
You know we
I
can't go
get
by the
that, but
mainstream media.
this is court though. You know what I mean? Like there has to be court documents that they're probably saying that. It's not just from him saying it. So yeah, someone in the chat said a judge stopped it. There's a court date on Tuesday. I think he's just buying time to see if somebody can outbid it. That's what I think. I think it's been bought though.
But that's the thing with the bids. They were like they were sealed, and apparently the Onion didn't even have the highest bid. So it's not about like, because he did say that it's not about going to the highest bidder. So that, like, you would think that it would go to the highest bidder for the money to go to the families, but it's like a political stunt. But yeah, he said that they said that the Onion bid wasn't the highest bid. Like they're basically, I think they're just trying to screw with them. I don't know.
I want to play this clip here because this is him talking about it. This was like from 12 hours ago.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is 7:50 right now. I'm about to upload this to X. I just got word 15 minutes ago that my lawyers and folks met with the U.S. trustee over our bankruptcy this morning, and they said they're shutting us down even without a court order this morning. The Connecticut Democrats with the Onion newspaper bought us. They asked, did they outbid? They said, well, it was competitive. So they changed all the bidding rules, made it secret 2 days ago. I had a bad feeling. I told you that. And just like they tried to shut us down back in late May without a court order, they're supposed to have a court order. There's going to be injunctions filed. I'm about to go live out of Harrison's American Journal studio. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to be here until they come in here and turn the lights off. I'm going to say, where's your court order? So this is all going down right now. They want to silence the American people. But we're not going to be silenced. Be sure and follow me at the Alex Jones Network at AJN Live on X right now. They're filed in court to take real Alex Jones away. That's totally unconstitutional. The judge already said no, so they filed in other courts. So the live feed going up by the time you see this at AJN Live and at Real Alex Jones right now. Share this everywhere. This is a total attack on free speech. The deep state is completely out of control. The private security hasn't even been told all this yet. They tried to tell them last time the other U.S. trustee to shut us down on the court order. These folks said no. So this is all happening right now. This is the tyranny of the New World Order, desperate to silence the American people. The mandate of Trump against all the lawfare, they don't care. So the system still thinks it's in charge. I'm going live right now from what probably will be the last transmission from this building. God bless you all for your support. Please support our sponsors so we get funds to stay on the air at the Alex Jones Network, thealexjonestore.com. Take action. I need your support. InfoWars is really the detonator for this whole global movement that's happening. Your support did that. You're the reason it's happening. You are the resistance. God bless and good luck.
What I don't understand is they said he was trying to make a bid for $3.5 million. How is that legal? Like how does he have the money now if he didn't have the money to pay the people? It's a lot of fishy stuff with this whole situation for me.
Yeah, and sometimes when Alex Jones talk, like I can never understand what he's saying. It's like because he talked too fast, and I don't know. It's just like everything is like too much of a conspiracy theory with him. But and it's my thing is, dude, you took Sandy Hook way too far, and now you're paying a price for it. So I don't care if you feel as though you're right. I don't care if you have proof. A lot of, again, I don't want to deal with the federal government. I don't. I got a letter from Homeland Security because I accidentally forgot my switchblade was in my purse and I was going through TSA. So now I am disqualified from TSA pre-check, temporarily disqualified. But yeah, so and then just to get an envelope that says Homeland Security, I'm like, oh no. So what he went through and all that, with the lawsuits and all, and just listen, let them auction that shit off and just move on.
Yeah, and we did a story on this, and he was still talking about it. Even during the hearing, he was still going. It's like there was no letting up for him. I do empathize what he's going through because this is his life, and like he really does love what he does. But at the same time, as a content creator, we talked about this. There has to be some responsibility. You can't just say whatever, unfortunately.
I was muted. Let me
And so the feds that were here left.
Okay, so he says Alex Jones confirms that the highest bid for InfoWars at the federal auction was not accepted, and they chose the lower bid from the Onion instead, likely to make sure he wouldn't retain control. This shows it's not about helping this and her family, it's about punishment. So they did buy it.
That was before. If you look at the time,
This is from 10 hours ago.
Yeah. So after that, and somebody said in the chat too, like after that, they said that the judge had stopped it, and he had put the tweet out saying that they hadn't bought it.
Well,
guarantees they're going to own it come Monday after that hearing, because there's steps in the process. They probably showed up too soon, and there has to be a final hearing.
Well, I don't know. It's whatever it is. Just move on. He created the Alex Jones network, the Alex Jones show on X. Sometimes he be having like 1.4 million views on X.
He gets a lot of views.
Right. So you still making money, and I get it because he's been doing this for what, 30 years?
It's at least I know at least 20 years, because he broke that big Bohemian Grove. What was that, 20 years ago? That story. He's been. Somebody said the judge blocked it. Yeah, he's been at this for a while, and I get why he gets the views he get, because he does make a lot of accurate predictions. I will say, but the Sandy Hook thing, he got that wrong. People make mistakes, but he's gotten a lot of stuff right. He predicted 9/11 on air before that happened. Said it was going to be Bin Laden was going to be blamed. Like I said, the Bohemian Grove, that whole thing with the ritual there, had that on video. So, and even, this stuff with Trump with the election, he said there was going to be a second attempt. Sure enough, it was. So he does his research, and I think that's the main thing. I think, and I am a little bit out there like Alex Jones, but I do believe they're trying to silence him. I think, like, if you're saying whatever and you're always wrong, they're not going to try to silence you, because they don't care. How long has the Inquirer been around, or the Globe? But with Alex Jones, him being right often, I do think they're trying to actively silence him, because he is accurate a lot.
This was a big thing he got wrong. And as a parent, if he would have said that about my kid, God forbid, I would be as angry as those people. So I understand that there's a lot he gets right, but this was a big thing he got wrong. And there has to be accountability, unfortunately. I think they did the hammer a little bit too hard on him. But at the same time, this wasn't like a small thing. Like, this was a big, huge thing. People's kids were lost. And it was one of the worst strategies, I think, in American history.
But it was some shady stuff too, though.
Well, we're not talking about that.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it was some,
whatever it was, his ass was hemmed up in courts, and he lost. And they got him. They got him. And this is the consequences. And it's like, what I'm coming from is, listen, when you are a media person, we're all in media. Podcast is media. We are the new media. But when you are in media, you got to understand when to stop, when to apologize, when to pull back. So, and he just didn't. I will even say this, even with Tasha K, when Cardi B sued her, before she even took it to court, she sent the cease and desist. She asked her to take down the video. She did not comply with none of that. And now you went to court, you lost, and you owe $3-4 million or whatever, whether you pay it or not. At one point, at some point, you have to know and learn, okay, let me just stop before we go all the way down that rabbit hole. And at the end of that hole, you ain't going to win. You're not going to see no daylight. So,
right.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. With the Tasha K thing, she made, I want to say, 39 videos on Cardi B. It was a lot. I'm like 90% sure it was 39 videos. on Cardi
Oh
B.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Mhm.
I
serious.
know. I didn't think it was that many, but damn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they said it on like some court document or something. They say how many it was. It was an obscene amount. And I definitely agree with both of y'all. Like,
Right. It
college just
lasted
shoulda
5 years.
killed.
Being cocky. And
Mhm.
you know, listen, Ali Jones has a very large following. He get more views than CNN and MSNBC put
Mhm.
together. So you know, he has his, but
He's no victim. He'll be fine.
exactly, but I'm pretty sure the ego, you know, is just
Yep.
as big as his viewership.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
yeah. All right. Let's go to Trump. Not so much. I do want to touch on RFK, but before we get into that, listen, these Democrats and these race baiters, Black people, they were so upset. Well, not upset, but they're like, "Oh, told you so." Trump is going to give reparations to white people. And he didn't say nothing like that. He was just talking about what he's going to do to the Department of Education. So I want to play this clip, the full clip, and then I wanted to talk about it because I also want to share Yvette Carnell clip when she was being interviewed on ABC recently, of this past weekend, and she was talking about American descendants of slaves, and you know, and how we need public policies, we need reparations. And I'm so glad that she was able to be on ABC talking about Black America, you know, and the things and the resource and the reparations that is owed to us. But let's play this clip here because this is the full clip that just sent people into a crazy frenzy.
Tuition costs at colleges and universities have been exploding, and I mean absolutely exploding, while academics have been obsessed with indoctrinating America's youth. The time has come to reclaim our once great educational institutions from the radical left, and we will do that. Our secret weapon will be the college accreditation system. It's called accreditation for a reason. The accreditors are supposed to ensure that schools are not ripping off students and taxpayers, but they have failed totally. When I return to the White House, I will fire the radical left accreditors that have allowed our colleges to become dominated by Marxist maniacs and lunatics. We will then accept applications for new accreditors who will impose real standards on colleges once again and once and for all. These standards will include defending the American tradition and Western civilization, protecting free speech, eliminating wasteful administrative positions that drive up costs incredibly, removing all Marxist diversity, equity, and inclusion bureaucrats, offering options for accelerated and low-cost degrees, providing meaningful job placement and career services, and implementing college entrance and exit exams to prove that students are actually learning and getting their money's worth. Furthermore, I will direct the Department of Justice to pursue federal civil rights cases against schools that continue to engage in racial discrimination and schools that persist in explicit, unlawful discrimination under the guise of equity will not only have their endowments taxed, but through budget reconciliation, I will advance a measure to have them fined up to the entire amount of their endowment. A portion of the seized funds will then be used as restitution for victims of these illegal and unjust policies that hurt our country.
That was the part to where you had Don and the Joys and all these crazy lunatics talking about he's going to give reparations to white people because he's saying he's going to eliminate DEI, which is fine, but people who were victims, I guess, of DEI would get restitution. Restitution and reparations are two different things. But that's not all he said. Who are the victims? Who are the victims when you talk about DEI? How about the last year, October 7th, when the whole Israel bomb in Gaza, and you had all these protests popping up on these college campuses. And if you guys remember, the college presidents, all women, they sat in front of the congressional committee, and the Black woman, she was eventually let go. I think she was resigned, right? Because she would not bow down and say, I condemn the people protesting, the pro-Palestinian protesters, right? She is technically a victim of under this DEI thing that he's talking about. So again, they automatically saying if you eliminate DEI, you're going to eliminate Black jobs, which is not true. And he's saying that these victims of DEI will get some type of restitutions, but they got reparations for white people out of that. What do you guys think?
I'll let Nora go first.
Pretty much what I think is living in Florida, like we pretty much are, Florida is where woke goes to die. And times like this, I appreciate living in Florida because we didn't have those violent protests on our campuses. We didn't have people living on our campuses where Jewish students were made to feel alienated. And the thing that people don't realize is Jewish students were getting yelled anti-Semitic things at them. Jewish students were being blocked from going to their classes. And if you're paying your hard-earned money to go to a university and you lost that time going to class during this period, you're owed something, unfortunately. Whether people want to agree to it or not, restitution is owed. And that's what he's referring to.
For me, Joy Reid really just grinds my gears because she puts out herself as if she's the spokesperson for Black women. And first of all, Joy Reid, when it comes to this whole reparations talk, and I'm not saying certain people can't talk about it, but she talks about it as if she's a foundational Black American that would be entitled to reparations. That kind of annoys me. Don Lemon, I saw his video on TikTok, and now he said he's leaving X, which get out of here, Don Lemon, good, because you're pushing this weirdo woke propaganda. Like you said, Dana, that's not what it's about. Black people, and this is what kills me with them. Well, the lefties, they fought so hard to be treated fairly with schools and things like that, against discrimination. Here the man says, hey, if you're a victim of discrimination, which it would apply to Black people, white people, whomever, and now you have a problem with it because it includes maybe a Jewish student or, a white person or whatever. I just think it's ridiculous. It's like, this is a good thing. And they have they're putting out this woke, this propaganda, like, oh, he's going to give reparations to white people and what reparations? It's just, I just think it's ridiculous. And I really don't like Joy Reid and Don Lemon.
Yeah, she's annoying as all hell. She's very much so annoying. Well, I want to share, this is the clip of Yvette Carnell on ABC. And even Yvette Carnell now is getting backlash for her interview on ABC because she kind of was alluding to how the organization is willing to work with Democrats, right? And you have to, because people forget 85% of Black Americans still vote Democrat, and that's on a local level and on a federal level. So the majority of the Black population where Black people live at throughout this nation, those are Democrat districts. So those are the people you have to deal with when we're talking about public policies on a state level. And then even on a federal level, because of Congressional Black Caucus, the people who you vote to send to Congress to represent you in your state. So Black people, majority of Black people all of Black people just about, I would say 95% of Black Americans live in Democrat districts. So that is the main party that you have to work with or advocate to and tell them what you need. So she got backlash, but I want to play her interview clip here because, you know, it's very informative, and I agree with everything she said.
Speech at her alma mater, Howard University, Vice President Kamala Harris talked about being proud of the race that she ran, but clearly something about Harris's campaign just didn't work the way Democrats had hoped it would. Let's bring in Yvette Carnell, president of the American Descendants of Slavery Advocacy Foundation. Yvette, thank you so much for being with us. First off, let's talk about your organization because that is important to the perspective that you have. So tell us about it.
Well, the ADOS Advocacy Foundation is founded to support the needs and advocate for the specific needs of American descendants of slavery, tracing back to chattel slavery, Reconstruction, Jim Crow. That's what we're about. We have a specific group. So we advocate for that group. That's what the organization does.
Okay, so thank you for breaking down that. Okay, so most people, I mean, even when you look at the election results, overwhelmingly Black women, Black men, even if some of the numbers were smaller than in previous previous times voting, they still overwhelmingly went for Democrats. But where do you think that the Harris campaign went wrong?
They don't know their electorate. The Democrats have banked on the browning of America, bringing them in votes, right? So that means that by the browning of America, you can treat Latinos the same way that you treat Black people, the same way that you treat ADOS, but we have a different history. And what you heard a lot of Latino or Hispanics say is that, listen, we want opportunity. We don't want to be called Latinx. We don't want any of that. Well, that's a very different thing than ADOS. We want redress, we want rights, we want reparations, we want a lot of different things. So they banked on this idea of just saying, hey, we're going to be pro-immigration, and that's going to bring us in Hispanic voters, that's going to bring us in Latino voters. What they didn't understand is that these people are American, you know, and they want opportunity. And so they were, in large part, not all the way, but they tilted towards being pro-immigration. So Democrats banked on melanin. They banked on the brownness of people, bringing them together, not understanding that these groups had specific needs that they wanted, and they cannot campaign to us the same way. You cannot campaign to Black voters the same way you campaign to Hispanic voters. You just cannot do that. We're two different groups.
Okay, and to that point, we have had, I mean, Democrats and Republicans, specifically on Sundays, who I've spoken with to ask, how do candidates reach these groups? And even when it appeared that Kamala Harris wasn't doing well with some of these groups, specifically young Black men, young men in general, there would be Democrats who were saying, well, the Republican Party isn't even talking to young Black men. So what do you say about these young, diverse groups who did still go Republican, who Democrats really did seem to think that they just had an advantage with?
Listen, you had the co-campaign manager of the Trump campaign tell you in July, Ms. Wiles, who is now the chief of staff, she told us in July that she's going to target Latinos, that she is going to target Black men ages 18 to 34. At that point, you have to put an agenda forward for these men. You can't just believe that they're a captured group who are going to vote for you no matter what. And you can't do this identity politics where you say, hey, we're going to protect you more. People are not looking, these men were not looking necessarily. I know the Black vote still went for Kamala Harris, but what they're saying is that they're not necessarily just looking to and for a specific thing for Hispanic men. They're looking for opportunity. And I think Trump did campaign to them through symbolism. Even in terms of Black men, he was out with rappers, he was out with a lot of people. And I think that was kind of a suggestion of what I'm going to do for you. And at the time, Ms. Wiles said, his co-campaign manager said what she said about targeting them. I think the Democratic Party should have targeted Latino men. They should have targeted ADOS Black men. They should have targeted, and they didn't do that.
I want to pause it right there because about 3 more minutes of it. But what do you guys think so far? Because again, you know, one thing about Yvette Carnell, she knows public policy. She knows political strategy. She knows how laws get passed and what do you have to do, you know, in order to get public policies or laws passed in your favor. So the Kamala Harris campaign did drop the ball, especially when it to Black America and especially Black men. And people, the Black Americans, we only 15% of the population, but when it comes to national elections, losing 20% does not win you the presidency. And she lost more than 20% of the Black vote. I believe it was 30% because it was 25% or 22% Black men and 8% Black women, with a total of 30%. 30% of just the Black vote she did not get. So that tells you that our vote matters. We do make a difference when it comes to electing president. So I want to get your thoughts on what she said so far.
What was the controversy? You said there was controversy. That's the journalist got backlash, or
no, Yvette Carnell, because listen, all right, so X, you know, it could be kind of ruthless and ghetto or whatever, but you know, people were holding spaces. Oh, ADOS is working with Democrats and they claim that they're not. It's a lot of ignorance amongst Black people, you know, when it comes to certain things, particularly when it comes to Black issues. So they're basically trying to lump Yvette Carnell in being a Democrat shell. Okay. So first it was, you know, Trump going to give reparations to white people, right? False. Now Yvette Carnell is working with the Democrats.
I got you. Okay. So for me, I think I agree with everything she said. I think and you've spoken about this on your show. The Democrats have for decades been taking the Black vote for granted. What messed them up, in my opinion, and I don't know what you guys think, and I'm really curious to see what you guys think. I do not believe Trump only got 99% of the Black female vote. I truly believe it's at least 12 to 15%. I'm in deep blue Maryland. I know multiple people besides myself, Black women, that have voted for Trump. I will say all of them were business owners. And I even have a friend that was in Philly, Black woman in Philly, and other people. So I don't believe that number. I think they, and I told y'all I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. I think that they want to tell people or tell women we are such this small minority to make it seem that way. You know, I don't know, but regardless, what they did, and I agree with Yvette with this, they thought we would, this is my speculation, that we would care about the illegal immigration thing, because I even saw on the Congressional Black Caucus website that they have one of their points as that they were going to advocate for illegal immigrants, a pathway for citizenship. And their claim was, oh, because there's Black people that come from these countries, you know, so we need to help those Black people. Where I'm like, hold on, if you're the Congressional Black Caucus, you should be advocating for Black Americans. When this illegal immigration issue, and P. Ray has spoken about this a lot on your show, and I learned a lot from her, that whole illegal immigration thing, which was one of the main reasons why I voted for Trump, it negatively affects our community the most. Myself and my other, and like I told you, I have other Black female friends that voted for Trump. That was a major thing for them. I had a friend, she really was thinking about voting for Jill Stein. And I told her, oh no, you can't vote Jill Stein because you had a guy on your show, I can't remember his name, but he had said this, like, with Jill Stein's platform, she was pro the illegal immigration, you know, so I'm not illegal immigration. She was for pathway citizenship for illegals, the whole bit. So I think that was a major factor. And with Trump, well, with, you know, Black people, again, I don't know too many Black people that was cool with taking that vaccine. That was an issue for them. And also just, you know, the economy, they just overall, we did better with Trump, you know, and I think they just thought the whole orange man bad thing was going to work and we would just rock with the Democrats like, you know, our boomer parents would. You know, it was enough for us. So I definitely agree with her. They thought, oh, all of our struggles are the same, and that's very much not the case. And they deserve the beatdown that they got this election.
Did you want to comment, Nora?
Yeah. If they attended any lives, if they attended any, went on social media, it was pretty clear that Black people were tired of the Democratic Party. I think now with the internet age, now with social media, you know, Black, most Democratic cities where Black people live are failing. There's low, there's high unemployment, low job security, you know, the failing school system. All of that combined, I think, was people were just tired of it. And that pretty much they just needed to talk to regular people and they would have known that they were losing. And then the number one thing for me, I think, was the open borders. Anytime you turn on the TV, even the mainstream media couldn't ignore the fact that the border crisis was out of control. And I think people were realizing, hey, where are these people moving to? Oh, they're moving to our Black cities, and they're taking, and I hate to say this, Trump said it, but they're taking our Black jobs. And so ultimately, I think that's what it boiled down to, the border and the economy.
Yeah, it did. I'm gonna finish playing the rest of this clip.
It was only in the last days of the campaign that we actually got a specific agenda from the Harris campaign about Black and Latino men.
So I was talking with a group of a group of Republicans, of Trump supporters, this about an hour ago, talking with them about the wide swath of Americans who voted for now President-elect Trump, and how he will now have to work to keep a number of people happy, how he'll have to do that with policies. You're saying that it's not all about identity politics, that obviously economics was overwhelmingly the top priority for so many Americans. But for you, as the president of the American Descendants of Slavery Advocacy Foundation, what do you hope the administration, this next administration, will do for those descendants of slavery?
Well, the first thing I want to see thrown away is this immunity for police, right? But I want us to have the same kind of opportunity. We need disaggregation. There are a lot of things that we need, that we're hopeful for. People say, "Oh, you can't get anything out of the Trump campaign." Well, we have a whole agenda up on our website, and we hope we can get some of that, right? The problem is we haven't gotten a whole lot out of the Biden administration either, and people are looking at that and they're not saying, "Hey, Biden, roll with the unions." That's great. But what are you going to do specifically to improve the quality of life for the people that I advocate for? What are you going to do? And we begged the Harris campaign in the early days, "Hey, give us an agenda." And instead of doing that, people made the argument for why she should not have an agenda. And Trump had an agenda, and he's the opposition. And people are saying the country's headed in the wrong way. So you have to show, as Kamala Harris, how I'm going to go in a different direction. Trump doesn't have to prove that much. He just has to say, "Hey, this is wrong and I'm going to fix it." And that's what he said. So, I think we just advocate for the things that we advocate for the things that we have decided that improve our quality of life, and we move on and we do the best we can during this period. But I really think the Harris campaign dropped the ball. They could have done a lot, and they could have done it a lot sooner.
And what do you say for those people who say overwhelmingly, regardless of how they ended up with politics or different issues, that for them, the now president-elect has a history of some very divisive rhetoric, some that many have called racially charged, downright racist? What do you say to them? How do you bridge that gap moving forward?
I just want to know what matters to you. Somebody said some negative things at a rally about Puerto Rico, right? And the Latinos and Hispanics didn't seem to care that much in terms of how that vote split. So I am not concerned necessarily about what Trump is saying. I'm concerned about what he's doing. I'm concerned about whether or not resources hit my community. I'm concerned about my community's rights. I'm concerned about redress. This idea that I should just be concerned and offended all the time, I'm not offended. I want to know what I can get into my community to improve their lives. That is my focus. Anything else is a distraction.
Yvette Carnell.
All right. So listen, and I said it, advocacy. And who you want to advocate? You want to advocate to the politicians who you vote in. And like I said, where Black people are at, it's all Democrats. So and I rock with Yvette Carnell because she is very knowledgeable when it comes to public policy, when it comes to politics. Other people are not. I'm sorry. I like Tariq Nasheed. I rock with him, but on the premise of his documentaries, from a historical standpoint, Tariq Nasheed does not know how public policy works, or he doesn't even know how to create a public policy to get it passed, to whereas Yvette Carnell has that experience. That doesn't make him less than. It's just that one person has experience on public policies and another does not. And when we're talking about reparations, when we're talking about restitutions, when we're talking about specific needs for Black Americans, it all flows through public policies. Well, how do you get it done? And that's where the conversation needs to be. But you do have people, you know, especially all over on X, and not even Tariq Nasheed, it's just other people. They're holding spaces, questioning, talking about she's a Democrat shell or she wants to work with the Democrats. Black people, you have no choice but to work with the Democrats because that's all you vote for. And it's just not comprehending. Margot Tina, love Yvette research, but she is always trying to lead people back to the Democrat Party. And I disagree with you with that because you vote people, Black people vote in the, that's all Black people vote for is the Democrat Party. She don't got to lead you nowhere because you are already there. So that means you need to utilize those very people who you vote in the office. It's just that simple. But go ahead, guys. Did you want to say something?
So I'm not too familiar. This is the first time I've seen this woman, but she, you know, based off what you said, you're absolutely right. I live in a very blue county in Maryland, and I might have spoke about this before, but we have one of the worst school systems in Maryland. The two worst school systems in Maryland is Baltimore and Prince George's County. And it's not a money thing. People think, oh, because the schools are poor. No, they get a lot of money. Now, the issue and what Black people I wish they would wake up to is that the Democratic Party, they are completely against school choice. Black people have the second highest dropout rate after Native Americans. So I heard people that I know were Harris supporters, Black women, saying in conversation, oh, well, Trump's going to shut down the Department of Education. And I'm like, good, your child is in private school. Why would you not support school choice? Why would you not want a check to send your, you know, instead of you paying your kids' tuition completely, why would you not want a check? And we know this, but when a child goes to private school or, you know, is afforded a better education, well, that benefits that benefits that child, that benefits your community. So if this woman is, you know, having these conversations with Democrats because that's all Black people want to vote for, that somebody needs to, you know, be advocating for the Black community to these Democrat politicians, you know, to change policy or things like that.
Nora, you're not ADOS. Well, Kelly, are you ADOS or no?
Yeah, I'm foundational Black American. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Nora isn't, but Nora, you can still comment.
I struggle with that because again, like I told you, I don't know if I told you this, Dana. My philosophy on that is it's a way to divide us. When white people see us, they see us as all the same. And I hate to say it, but that's the reality. Number one. Number two, someone wrote in the chat, Southern wrote, the lady seems like a liberal. I think she seems like a liberal too. I'm gonna be honest with you. But I feel like we all need to work together and not have this, oh, you can't talk to that person because they're a Democrat. Oh, you can't talk to that person because they voted for Trump. Because at the end of the day, us people that voted for Trump, we're pushing the Black agenda further because now they have to fight for our vote and they weren't fighting for it before. So now they have to listen to us and have us have a voice at the table because now they want to fight for us. Before they think we're going to only vote for the Democrats, that doesn't benefit us because no one's going to fight for our vote because they're going to just assume it's only the Democrats, and the Democrats are going to be like, hi, we're here, we're going to promise you and give you lip service and then be gone for the next 4 years. So you know, I think Tariq is important because even though he's entertainment, I will say he's knowledgeable and he does expose certain things happening. And I think he woke a lot of people up to get away from the Democratic Party and to divvy up our vote. So it's not just all with the Democrats. So that's my comment on Mr. Tariq.
Well, yeah, I mean, the conversation, I mean, it's not focusing on Tariq, but people always tag him or pull him in a conversation when it has to do with Yvette Carnell. And I wouldn't say, I don't think he help sway some Black people to go Republican. He sometimes asks a question, especially when he hold his X spaces, to ask a question. Well, what are you getting over here? You know, what can we get over here type thing, because he is a researcher. He is a historian, especially with his documentaries, but he does not know public policy. And if anyone who is familiar with public policy or anything about political science, when you listen to certain people, you could pick up that they don't really know anything about public policies. And what I'm hearing, let's just say on X, because X is real time, when it comes to these Black spaces, majority of the people do not know how public policy is created, how to advocate. They just don't know how to organize. Other groups do. So I don't understand how people saying she's a liberal. Well, what gives her even if she is a liberal, she's not a Joy Reid liberal. She's not a Roland Martin. She is solely focusing on Black Americans, true Black Americans, and what is it that we need and how we gonna get it. That's it. Everything else is just for the birds. And you know, I don't understand. I don't understand the pushback. And like she said in the interview, that the guy that spoke at the Madison Square Garden rally and made that racist with several discriminatory jokes, but he's a comedian. Latinos still came out in droves and voted for Trump. Mm-hmm. Who cares what somebody say? Who cares if you like that person? What can you do for me? That should be the focus in the conversation. What can you do for me?
Yes, and for me, I hate to criticize my people so much. I think Black people often focus on the wrong thing. They're so focused on racism and things that just don't matter. I saw on Instagram, because you just had some people on that were from Fulton County. Now, we know what happened with the YSL trial. They had the new judge right before, Thug got sent home. She was reading from a transcript and she had slipped up and said the N-word, actually said the word. And people in the comments, they were like, well, everybody else said the N-word. She could have said this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hold on. This woman clearly slipped up. It wasn't a mistake. And why are you focusing on that and not the fact that Thug got sent home? That's what you should be happy about. So I'm with you there, Dana. I mean, this woman, it sounds like, because like I said, I'm not familiar with her. It sounds like she's advocating for change for the Black community. You have to go about it with Democrats, because like you said, majority of Black people live in heavily Democratic areas, a lot super Democratic areas. So if no one is there actually advocating for them, we've seen what happens when there isn't. We can look at Chicago, we can look in Baltimore, we can look a lot of cities. So if she's actually doing the work, interfacing with these evil Democrats and is, pushing something, that's a good thing. Let's take the win and, move on. Yeah, I'm right there with you on that. And she didn't sound, watching this video, she didn't sound super liberal because she was very critical of the Democratic Party.
Yeah. Anything before we move on? No, Nora, you want to say? Nora is focused on that chat, honey. Start reading that chat.
I don't care what they say. I just don't know who this lady is. I really don't have too much.
Oh, okay. So you're not familiar. Okay, you're not familiar with Yvette Carnell.
Yeah, but my thing is, Dana, I think the Black Boule has got to go. And I don't know if this lady's a part of that, but I think our vote is more powerful. Oh, perfect. But all these Black Boule people, they got to go. And yeah, I mean, they all use these big words and, they do this research. But at the end of the day, our vote is what matters. And if it wasn't for our vote, they wouldn't have jobs.
Mm-hmm. And this is one thing I wanted to mention, because she touched on the Latin community. That the whole thing, the Latin community, they didn't get distracted with the vote. They said, hey, the Latin people that I know, the Hispanic Americans that I know, they all voted for Trump because they dislike the illegal immigration as much as Black people because they had to go through a lot to get in this country. So
Yeah.
they really felt the way about that. And what kills me is like, I saw DL Hughley post on Instagram, a friend of mine sent this to me, where it was a Hispanic man, his wife was getting deported. She was illegal. And people and all the Black people in the comments were like, this is what you voted for, blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking, that guy must have wanted his wife to get deported because there's no way, they know what they're voting for. And AOC came out and says, I've spoken to the Hispanic community. They really think that Trump isn't talking about them. He's only talking about the illegals. And I mean, the criminals. And I'm thinking, AOC, here you Democrats go thinking you know more than the voters. Those people knew who they were voting for. They knew what Trump has been very clear about his mandate with these illegal immigrants. So I just it's a bunch of malarkey. Yeah.
Well, I want to go to Florida to the FEMA crisis, right? Because Florida said, honey, we suing FEMA for discrimination.
I'm Jennifer Lee. I'm Keith Kate. Thank you for joining us tonight. Politics has mixed with hurricane relief aid in Highlands County.
Residents are reacting to news a FEMA employee was fired for instructing her team to avoid pro-Trump homes. News Channel 8's Stacey DeSilva reports tonight from Lake Placid in Highlands County.
This home has a Trump flag in the front yard and hurricane damage to the gazebo in the backyard. A woman who lives here says this flag should have nothing to do with getting federal aid.
Whoever made that decision, it's not her decision to make. It's not her money.
Lake Placid's Angela Wrench says her political views should not get in the way of her getting federal hurricane relief aid.
We pay our taxes. We have just as much right to that money as anyone. It shouldn't have anything to do with our political beliefs. None whatsoever.
FEMA has confirmed the agency fired an employee who advised her survivor assistance team to not go to homes with yard signs supporting President-elect Donald Trump. A statement from FEMA reads in part, quote, "This is a clear violation of FEMA's core values and principles to help people regardless of their political affiliation. This was reprehensible," end quote. FEMA has referred the matter to the Office of Special Counsel. A congressional hearing is expected. Wrench says 3 FEMA employees came to her home Saturday.
I said, "You are here because of the news, correct?" And they didn't want to answer right away, but one of them did finally say, "Yes, we're just here trying to make things right."
Highlands County Commissioner Chris Campbell says he has been told the alleged misconduct was limited to Lake Placid, which is recovering from a tornado that formed in Hurricane Milton's outer bands. He says FEMA is retracing its steps.
They're going to knock on every door, whether they applied for assistance or not, whether they received it or not, and just to go through the process.
Highlands County has created an online portal to report any issues, including if residents feel their home was skipped. We posted a link to that on our website, WFLA.com.
Well, Florida suing. Florida sues FEMA officials over alleged discrimination against Trump supporters. So, Nora, you are in Florida, so I'm gonna let you lead this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's horrendous. And, we talked about that, Dana. I came on your show the night that we had that awful hurricane that came through. I had damage to my fence. I, lost power for over 24 hours. Gray lives in Clearwater. So we were deeply affected. So to say that you don't want to go to someone's house because of a flag or a sign, to me is offensive. We pay tax dollars. And then I think it's more offensive when we found out, we heard that part of the FEMA money went towards the immigrants or the how undocumented workers. So it's like two big slaps in the face. One, it went to undocumented workers, and 2, we're now hearing that they wouldn't go and help Americans who own homes with Trump flags. I just think it's offensive. I'm so glad I live in Florida. I'm so glad for Ron DeSantis. I'm so glad for Ashley Moody for filing this, because I think a lesson needs to be taught that these are our dollars, these are our funds, and we're entitled to it. My conspiracy of all of this is they just were looking for a reason not to go. They're probably going to say, "Oh, well, don't go to the Trump signs because we don't know how they're going to react. We don't know how they're going to be welcoming to us." And it was secretly because I think they were trying to find a way to cut out homes to go to because there wasn't enough funds. That's my conspiracy of it. And it's just awful, 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 awful.
Did you want to say something, Kelly? Because I'm going to play another clip. Because I want to play the FEMA worker that got fired, the Black woman.
Yeah, you can play that because I had comments about what she had said when she was on Fox News. So I'll wait.
Okay, so let me share. Stop.
No, the highlight here is the Trump campaign signage. But if someone is in another, like an urban community, and it's a different culture and someone feels uncomfortable, we can't go to that home. If you have loose dogs and someone on the team is comfortable with dogs and another person is not, we can't go to that home because of safety precautions.
So you feared the Trump houses. The people on FEMA were fearing the Trump houses like they were fearing people with vicious dogs in their backyard.
Exactly. And that's based on the trends. You can ask FEMA for incident reports. They have those because they ask us to report out if there's an incident at home. And unfortunately, again, the passionate supporters for Trump, some of them were a little bit violent.
But all of them were painted with the same broad brush. All of them as being, we're not going to go near these because we think they're all bad people.
No, because some were registered. Some did receive case inquiries and updates.
Yeah.
Some of them came outside and said, "Hi, I appreciate what you're doing. I would like to participate." And then some were very vocal and firm that they didn't want anything to do with FEMA, and they thought that we were crooks.
And lastly, we've got to go. We're running out of time here. Did this also happen in other places? This was Florida, but did it happen in North Carolina? Did it happen in other places?
Georgia as well. Just ask the crew leads and the specialists. They will discuss their avoidance and their de-escalation methods in the field.
Okay.
And I think Ms. Criswell would be happy to know what's going on.
All right. Do you believe her?
I didn't even watch this. And what did I say the reason was, Dana? I never heard this before. I already knew the excuse that they were going to say. They're rowdy. We don't feel like dealing with them.
No, the highlight here is the.
So I think some of what she said was true, but she had some things wrong. Okay, so she said a reason, because I saw the clip, the full segment on Fox News. She said that she had mentioned the Hatch Act, which was why they could not interface with some of the houses with the Trump sign. Now, I know I'm very familiar with the Hatch Act. It has nothing to do with that. The Hatch Act is basically federal employees cannot speak about partisan issues. Like, let's say Nora worked for FEMA. Nora could not come on your show and speak about politics or speak about certain things as a FEMA employee. She would be charged and it would be a violation of the Hatch Act. So when she said that, I said, oh, hold on, for a supervisor. And on the clip, it says FEMA employee. The fact, because I saw something else that said she was, now it says former FEMA supervisor. So as a supervisor, I'm thinking, or I'm just using my head here, you're saying that there was this policy, but you still could have, there wasn't a rule saying that you could not reach out to the Trump supporters, the houses that had Trump signs. Y'all chose, or maybe there was a note that said, hey, don't engage with the Trump houses because some people were rowdy or whatever. But I just don't believe that, because she also said, well, some of them did receive the funds. So I think it's kind of what Nora was saying. I think maybe they didn't want to engage with them for whatever reason. But it was what some things that she said.
No money. They had no money. So they had to come up with reasons and excuses not to go to every house. That's what I think it is. It comes down to money.
Yeah. But I do believe her because she mentioned the notes, I do believe there were probably other field supervisors or whatever she was saying that was avoiding the houses. I don't think it was just her.
Well, she has a boss. So if there were any complaints of hostile residents, you have to report it to your director if you're a supervisor, and then they want to tell you how to proceed. And if she has proof, I was told to avoid houses that when people are hostile, or neighborhoods or streets. But now it seems like FEMA is throwing her under the bus so that she could take the blame, so it can make it look like, I'm pro Kamala or pro Democrat, and I don't want to service Trump people. And the excuse I'm going to give, they were harassing us. Whereas she's saying it was the director, it was the heads of FEMA giving an order to avoid. Because FEMA, by the way, is controlled by the president, the Biden administration, and the president controls the FEMA funds. And they were allocating millions of the FEMA funds to the illegals. So it was a shortage when it comes to the money of FEMA. And then on top of that, you're saying avoid Trump supporters. And she came out before she went on Fox News. She was on Roly Poly. And she went into, it was like 40-minute interview, but I want to play this clip here.
So if you turned in reports to your supervisors that state political hostility for the people in the field, those reports exist.
Yes, hence why I also sent you screenshots where they're deleting files now from my computer. So FEMA says they fired me, but I still have access to the systems and their applications. And while I was in an interview yesterday, I noticed that my files were being deleted in my name, and I could not have been doing that while I was talking to Madison. So FEMA is very well aware of the incidents that take place, not just with my crew, but with all of the crews in the state that's declared. And instead of just saying, hey, this is how we're going to mitigate it to protect our people, they decided to fire me and make sure Donald Trump knows that they are loyal to him because they fear retribution. The important thing is here, once we start seeing a trend, for example, if they just so happen to have these Trump campaign signs in front of their home, and that's the characteristic that's coming along with that, we have to proceed with precaution. So avoidance first and then de-escalation. And that's the thing. Our superiors know that. We have constant conversations about keep your people safe. If your people are uncomfortable, then just don't go.
So explain this to me, please. Explain this to me. Okay. So I'm just trying to understand what that means. So again, if I'm on a house, if I'm on a street and it has 20 homes and there are 8 homes on that street with Trump signs, and my team has faced hostility from 3 of the homes that have signs, what happens next?
I inform my TFL, my direct report, hey, we're again experiencing hostile encounters. We're moving on to another street. We're not canvassing those homes.
So again, only for, go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead, I'm sorry.
And that's the directive too. Like, honestly, he has called me multiple times and says, your job is to keep the team safe.
I'm sorry, when you say he, who's he?
Oh, Chad Hershey.
Okay, who's Chad Hershey?
The TFL, that my assigned TFL for this deployment.
So Chad Hershey has said, told you what?
That if your team is uncomfortable and they do not feel safe, do not go to those homes. Go and canvass the other homes. Your job is to keep these people safe. They need to be able to go back home safe.
All right.
Oh my God. You see how he protects them, Dana? You see, he can't even acknowledge that the Biden administration is the administration behind this. This is a joke.
And they gotta, in my opinion, just do your job. If your job is to go to these people's houses, just go to the houses. If the people are mean, go to the next house. Like, I don't get it. And I will say this, I don't believe for a second if she went to the Trump houses that she would have got fired or anybody would have got fired. I just don't believe that. Just go to the houses. How hard is that? I don't get it.
Well, I think they're all guilty, which is why Florida is suing. Attorney General Ashley Moody has taken legal action following reports that FEMA workers denied aid to Florida hurricane victims who displayed signs supporting President-elect Donald Trump. The Attorney General announced Thursday she filed a lawsuit against former FEMA supervisor Marnie Washington, that was the woman that was fired, and current FEMA administrator Deanne Criswell, seeking punitive damages in their individual capacities. So she's suing. We're saying they're suing FEMA, but she's actually suing the two people who placed the call of action to avoid homes that had Trump signed. So FEMA is a shit show under this administration. But I will say this: I do agree with the woman in the video when she said that, Trump is coming into office, so they're trying to get in good favor. And that I do believe, but he could come in there and fire all of them and replace them with new people. So it's like, okay, to save him all that trouble, let's throw somebody under the bus to cover our ass and start kissing up to him so we can have a job after January 20th, 2025.
And actually, you make a good point, Dana. When a new administration comes into power, they always clean house of the top brass because they were political appointees. So her director or her dad's department assistant secretary, they're going to be gone anyway. Mayorkas will be gone. All the top brass will be gone.
Did you see FEMA workers in your neighborhood, Nora?
And there was people across the street from me that lost power for 2+ weeks, and I never saw them here. It was pretty rough. It wasn't quite as bad as, Gray's area, but yeah, we had fences down. I had damage to my fence and my home. So yeah, they never came.
Well, let me say this. I want to thank you ladies for coming on. One last thing that I did want to highlight. And I'm going to see this movie. Gladiator with Denzel, right? Denzel says, Gladiator 2 cuts his full-on gay kiss of death. I think they got chicken. So he was kissing a man. I guess it was a gay love scene or gay whatever type of scene. He was kissing another man, and that part they cut out. So we will not be seeing that on the big screen. Why did he have to make this public? Why are you now telling us that you wanted to leave it in? Yes, you are an actor. It is about being creative. But we don't need to know that you kissed a guy on camera and you wanted us to see it.
I mean, I don't get it. He already has an Oscar. He has the highest accolade for an actor. So if he was trying to get an Oscar, I would understand that because it's voted by that whole woke circle over there in California. But I don't get it personally.
I don't get this either because he's been acting. Correct me if I'm wrong, you guys. I don't think I've ever seen him do anything same sex in his whole entire career.
Oh.
So I find it very weird that now you do. This seems kind of, I'm going to say it, humiliation ritually to me that he even did that. And I'm with you, Dana. You didn't have to speak on it. But again, you're Denzel Washington. You are Hollywood royalty. I think it's very, very peculiar that he waited this long in his career to do this. It makes me suspicious.
Maybe something's coming out about him.
Something's weird. We've never
my
seen him in
minds
a
are
dress.
turning.
Yeah, we've never seen him in a dress. We've never seen him do that. And I don't know. This is, it seems like a humiliation ritual to me.
And some people are saying, okay, is he on the Diddy tapes? And he's trying to cover up. What is going on here? Right.
I truly hope not. He doesn't seem that way, but I don't know why he would do this now.
Honestly, it seemed like now with the older, particularly men, but the older they get, the weirder they get. I don't know. It's just like, dude, like you out of all people don't need to do this.
Right.
We didn't need to hear it nor see it. Listen, if he didn't say anything and they never cut it out and we seen it, we would have like that would have made headlines. So maybe they should have left it in. Maybe they should have left it in so that we could be surprised. And people and the movie could be trending, he could be trending even more so now. So maybe he knew when it comes to marketing, it would have benefited the movie.
Good point. Or maybe he's trying to get attention for the movie.
Right. But it's like it probably would have been a bigger effect if they would have left it in and he didn't say anything and then everyone see it. And then the people that seen it in that first weekend, like, oh my God, Denzel kissed a man. Then everybody gonna go see it to watch him kiss a man. So it would have made more headlines if they would have left it in and he said nothing about kissing a guy until we seen the movie. So yeah. And so maybe that's why he did mention it, because he knew they took it out. And him saying I kissed the boy, then people want to talk about it.
Headlines. Yeah.
Headlines.
Because I never even heard about this movie coming out before this
No,
today.
I waited all year long for this. I cannot wait till next week. I'm going to, because I remember Gladiator 1. It took them 20 years for part 2. And I have a feeling that it's not going to be as good as part 1. But yeah, I'm still excited about it. Now that we're talking about LGBTQ, Ohio, stand up. Yes, honey, that's why I moved here. It's a red state. Ohio lawmakers passed bill banning transgender students from using bathroom they identify with. Yeah, exactly, and they should.
Yeah.
And they should. Ohio Republican lawmakers passed a bill banning transgender students from using a bathroom that aligns with their gender identity. Governor Mike DeWine has already agreed to sign the legislation that impacts K-12 and colleges. Being seen in a bathroom where it doesn't look like you belong puts transgender students in danger, one student says. So the Senate passed SB 104, which requires all public schools and colleges to mandate the students can only use bathrooms or locker rooms that matches their sex assigned at birth. Originally, State Rep Adam Byrd, Richmond introduced in the House bill, but the legislation was slid into uncontroversial and unrelated bill as an amendment. Either way, if your birth certificate, the official birth record, will be used to prove biological sex. And if it say you were born a boy, you got to go to the boy's bathroom. If it say you were born a girl, you got to go to the girl's bathroom, no matter how you feel you think you are.
Good.
So yeah. And then they said, listen, if you want them to go to a bathroom, then build a transgender bathroom, a bathroom specifically just for transgenders to use. How about that?
Great.
And I agree.
I agree, because we've already seen what has happened with allowing biological males in girls' bathrooms. And I'm not saying every single transgender has some nefarious, issue, but when you have men or boys or males saying, well, this is how I identify, and they're able to go in these spaces, women are being hurt. In Virginia, not far from me, and you guys might have heard about this one because this was national news. A girl in Fairfax County was raped in a high school bathroom by a boy in a skirt, and he had assaulted someone at a different school. We saw in New Jersey 2 women were impregnated by a biological male, a transgender person that was in a women's prison, impregnated 2 women. Like, enough. It's crazy, because like I said, women and girls are the ones being hurt. They want to go to the bathroom, they got to have their own bathroom or something, because this is getting out of hand, or it's already out of hand. So shout out to Ohio.
Yeah, shout out to Ohio. That's it. Oh, one last thing. One last thing. Wait a minute. Wasn't this? It was okay. Yeah, this. Speaking of JFK, because I changed the title, I am thrilled to announce Robert F. Kennedy as the United States Secretary of Health and Services, HHS. For too long, Americans have been crushed by industrial food complex and drug companies who have engaged in deception, misinformation, and disinformation when it comes to public health. The safety and health of all Americans is the most important role of any administration, and HHS will play a big role in helping ensure that everybody will be protected from harmful chemicals, pollutants, pesticides, pharmaceutical products, and food additives that have contributed to the overwhelming health crisis in this country. Mr. Kennedy will restore these agencies to the traditions of gold standard scientific research and beacons of transparency to end the chronic disease epidemic and to make America great and healthy again. So what do you ladies think on that?
Amazing. This is the greatest pick of all time. It's about time we get healthy. Yeah, I'm very, very excited about it. People are like, oh, well, he's not a doctor. Great. I'm glad he's not. He's done years of research about vaccines, about, different health issues in this country. So I think it's a great change that we need. And I think he's dedicated to it. So I think he's going to do the best job because this is something I think really is important to him.
I agree. He said he wants this to be his legacy. Oh, well, excuse me. He said Trump wants his presidency to be his legacy, and he was really excited about bringing in RFK Jr. And like you said, Nora, he's done the research. I gotta read that book that he wrote about Dr. Fauci and him teaming up with Nicole Shanahan, who is a powerhouse in the biomedical field. He knows his stuff. He's the real deal. I would have been cool with him being heading up over at the FDA as well. But I think HHS is a great fit because we got to get these seed oils out of our food. I mean, it's just a lot of stuff going. He said it. We're like one of the most, I think, the most unhealthiest nation. We're top up there, and it's no reason for it. There's a lot of corruption with the food lobbyists and FDA, pharmaceutical companies, and he knows all about that. So I think it's an amazing pick.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. All right. Thank you, ladies, for coming on. So what I do is I talk about different topics on live streams because I chop them up and upload them. So I will be uploading a couple of these clips of discussions, but please tell everyone where they can find you guys at.
Nora Christine, I'm the host and producer of The New Party. Thank you to Dana for allowing me to be on her podcast again. And thank you to Dana's fans for becoming fans. You can find me at The New Party. And I have a special show that I'm doing called The Broke Woke. You can check it out and we can laugh at crazy lefties together. And it's tomorrow night live at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Hi, everyone. I am Kelly Corinne, or Kelly. You can find me on YouTube at Let Me Break It Down podcast, or on TikTok. I make fun videos, political commentary on both platforms. So again, thank you, Dana, for bringing me back on. It's been so much fun and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Listen, I appreciate you taking the time out. Usually Thursdays, me and the judge, it's Man Up Thursdays. And he talks about the law and stuff like that, but he was busy tonight, so he couldn't do it. And I did not want to do anything and I didn't feel like recording earlier because I had a knee issue. So I was like, I'm still gonna go live, but I need some co-hosts. So thank you guys. Thank you. I called y'all today. You know, it was kind of last minute, so I really appreciate you taking the time out coming on. And I'm definitely going to have you ladies back. It's been fun. And yeah, so I appreciate it. Oh, I need to go to the super chats. 1 second. Thank you, Walter. Actually, let me make this bigger. I like that. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Walter Worldborn. And I was not promoting the goal thing. I gotta stay on top of that. Gregory, thank you so much. Lisa, the public schools where I'm at don't even teach civics. No public schools teach civics nowadays. Maybe if you put them in a certain private school, they'll learn it, but no public schools in this nation teach it because they want kids to be dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said Nora is not FBA. Honey, we know that. But she could still talk about FBA. Just like we talk about white people, Indians, and everybody else. Other people could talk about black people. So what? Don't play with me. Hotspot Casino. Tariq Nasheed is a Masonic fraud. Also, very glad Kennedy was chosen. It's time for NIH and WHO to be obliterated. No more deadly poison in our arms. Well, he's not anti-vax. It's just that he's anti-poisoning vax and putting too much too soon in kids. So, yeah. Nora cannot yet. No, she's not speaking for, but she could speak about. See, that's the problem. We all could speak about whatever the hell we want to speak about. It's called freedom of speech. First Amendment.
Yeah.
And then when I bring whoever I want to bring up here, they're going to speak about what topics that I have on display. I'm not going to have someone, well, I don't want to speak about it because I'm not Asian or I'm not. So what? We could talk about white people all goddamn day. We could talk about Indians. We could talk about the Asians. We could talk about everything else. So nobody can't talk or discuss about Black Americans topics or issues. So no, she could speak and give her opinions and give her facts. All right. But thank you, Starlight. Yeah, I mean, listen, thank you. Starlight is somewhat of a regular. I appreciate you listening and commenting, but yeah, don't, honey. No, we're not censoring over here. We're not censoring at all. So yeah. All right. Thank you, ladies. Appreciate you guys. And I definitely gonna have you back on soon.
Thank you again, Dana.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night.
I think I messed up tonight. Because Alec Jones has been banned from YouTube for a very long time. And I don't think you could talk about him. And I'll put him in a picture. I'll put him in the title and in the description. And maybe that's why my views were very low. And I'm like, what is going on? It's funny because the views and the likes don't even match. But that is okay because my focus is uploads. And which is why I wanted to still do a live show because my uploads come. How do I get back up here?
I don't know. I was talking to you.
Oh, I didn't bring you back up though. And she's here too. All right,
because I thought maybe you were still talking.
Oh no, I was saying my conclusion. All right. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
I'm like, how do you pop back up? I didn't bring them up, but I don't know. Oh, and I'm going to be moving away from StreamYards. I'm going to go to Ecamm or Zoom. That's going to be by the end of this month. So in December, you want to see me use Ecamm or Zoom. I'm tired of StreamYards. StreamYards, my connections always mess up. My audio always mess up. It's just too much. So yeah, so the judge was busy tonight, but I do a lot of my uploads from my live streams. And so I need the content. And that's why I'm very grateful that the ladies came on, giving great discussions. And so yeah. So please like, share. You have a right to free. Yeah. So please like and share this video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I will see you guys on Monday, live on Monday. Oh, and then Saturday night, you know, I do the relationship show thing with Steve the Dean. So I will see you guys Saturday night and Monday. Bye. Oh, I got rid of, I have my outro up here. Oh, no. I have to bring it back. I don't feel like doing all that right now. All right, guys. Good night.